shucking corn, good quality. Probably the family is eating corn for the next day or so. Santos has decided to sit down and help out for some reason. Maybe it's the delay. No, Jose's talking about my recorder. Might as well go over and see Santos.
Hubert Smith is a filmmaker and anthropologist. For 15 years, he has been studying the family. Like much anthropological investigation, his work has a personal motivation.
Pues, señor, es buena comida. When I was a child, we saw my grandparents on holidays. Their idea of family was something I never forgot. My own family never seemed as comforting as theirs. I tried to understand my feelings by studying nuclear families in North America, but I wasn't getting anywhere.
Podemos quedar en Norteamérica si queremos, pero hemos venido aquí porque queremos mucho a la gente, a la vida, a la comida, a todo. Sí, es diferente.
Sí, es diferente.
Pero nos gusta mucho.
Down here, the extended family is still operating. My grandparents were raised in this kind of family. Here I could see how in-laws functioned in the same household. Here I could film the daily contacts between the old and the young. Here I could see people living in a single economic and domestic unit who in my society would be part of several nuclear families. This region became a second home for my wife Linda and me.
A little masa is put in there to thicken it up.
I could study and enjoy a way of life I felt I had missed. And finally, I began to realize that my experience might be useful to others. We decided to make a documentary for television. We would select a village where we would live and work for a year.
¿Qué cree? ¿Que podemos dejar rumbo de Tizimín?
Completamente.
¿Sí?
Absolutamente, no hay problema allá.
No hay problema.
Es gente marginal. Hay grupos indios, pero están muy marginalizados.
Yucateco anthropologists helped us plan the search. We wanted a community small enough to observe, yet large enough to have some social complexity. I also hoped to find a place where the modern world might be affecting family life.
Entonces pescamos dos áreas. Okay. If we drop down from Libre Union...
We went south, into the heartland of a people many think have ceased to exist.
South and east to Cacauchen, Cancac de Norte.
Pero ese pueblo es un pueblo esencialmente maya. Claro que ahorita estos señores andan como nosotros, ¿no? Pero la forma de expresarse, el maya que tienen ellos es un maya muy distinto a los de Shul, más autóctono maya. Eso quiero dar a entender.
Maya villages are scattered because each needs a large tract of forest to support it. The village of Chacan was perfect. 350 people lived here. Houses lay buried among banana and citrus trees on lots an acre big. The gravel road had come through just a year ago. We'd be seeing traditional people dealing with fresh outside contact. Our method is to observe daily life. A culture is revealed in what its people actually say and do. Within a few weeks, I decided I wanted to film the family of Don Raimundo and Doña Agrifina Coyi Coyi. Like me, Raimundo was in his mid-40s. Like most Yucatec Maya their age, they knew the modern world, but had chosen to continue pursuing a traditional way of life. There were 9 in the household. I wanted to see if the kids were making the same choices their parents had.
Entonces queremos mirar bash forma. ¿Qué pasa en la milpa?
En la milpa es lío. Entonces, ache bajo rai. Vaya, de también es. Entonces, la macole. Bravo, chan. Me es chan. El vite banda, bichang costalo. Mira, bueno.
Oh, está bueno, gracias.
They quickly made it clear we would be participants, as well as observers in their lives.
It's good that you liked us so well.
Frío, hay frío.
So our work began. Not that we were fully on board yet with the Maya sense of humor.
A lot of this giggling, or at least high spirits, is due to us. We're crammed in here about a foot from everybody. First time we've been in here like this. It's fun. ¿Tiene frío? Nosotros no. Es muy agradable esto.
Parece pavo.
Pero es lo más cerca del fuego.
But the extended family doesn't exist simply because it's a pleasant way to live. The real story of the Maya family lays here, in the Monte. The Monte is the dense scrub forest that carpets the thin soils of the rocky limestone plain of Yucatan. It's the same forest that cradled the era of the ancient Maya. And for 1,000 years, it's been methodically dismantling their monuments. But just as their ancient ancestors did, Maya sons and fathers still grow corn in this forest. Each fall, they must cut a new field. They rest each location at least 10 full years. As the weak soils are renewed, they are again blanketed by tangled native vegetation. The soils lay in pockets among rocky outcrops. Only hand tools can be used here. It takes the men about a month to fell 10 acres. The burn clears the field and kills dormant weeds and insects. The ashes contain many of the nutrients that were in the vegetation. It's all done with exquisite precision to protect resting forest on its perimeter. Only the extended family can muster sufficient manpower to make a proper field. Manpower that's also infused with the loyalty and intensity the system demands. Raimundo is more than a father. He has knowledge and skills directly linked to survival. When he was 3 years old, Jose cried until his father relented and began to bring him to the field. Bernardino's been married a year, but, as is customary, he and his wife will live and work with his parents indefinitely. Santos is an equal partner in the crop and a full adult in the community. Automaro doesn't often work in the fields. He and his younger brother are usually in school. They concentrate on 3 basic plants superbly adapted to this ecology. The crop yields carbohydrate energy, and when beans and corn are eaten together as they do daily, a complete vegetable protein. They balance their needs and capacities against what the ecology will permit. A precise and brutal bargain with a single overwhelming logic. It's fed the Maya for centuries without exhausting them or their land. Their forest has so far resisted modern farming techniques or other exploitation. So by choosing to live within the dictates of their ecosystem, these Yucatec Maya have also preserved the extended family. I'm fascinated by the lives of Maya children. Don Prudencio Coy Canche, one of Raimundo's neighbors, presided over a large and traditional extended family. His grandsons were constant companions. On this day, he was collecting poles in the monte to support bean vines. The knowledge that guides Maya life doesn't change much. The only edge one can gain is through age and experience. So adults are much more than parents. They possess and they teach essential information. And because they know things and do things that are clearly part of a child's own future, they are also role models. To derive the benefits of Maya society, children must learn attitudes and behaviors that will qualify them as members. Tranquility contributes to harmony, which extended families must maintain to hold the workforce intact. Reliance on the group will serve them much better than the independence we encourage in North American kids. In this environment, a loving parent raises children who are highly dependent. Each time Prudencio's wife, Doña Maria, went out to cut firewood, we saw how successful they had been. We constantly have to remind ourselves that group work is not drudgery. It can be enriching, and it obviously promotes bonding between parents and children. We tend to undervalue these tasks and associations because we must, because to perceive them differently would make us strangers in our own culture. There is no retirement for the elderly, just as there is no adolescence for the children. The forest is not generous, and there are jobs everyone must do to assure the family's well-being. So long as the Maya choose to live traditional lives, the family must continue to recruit and supply dedicated children. So seeing Prudencio and Maria's family gave us an even deeper appreciation of what was going on with Don Raimundo and his kids.
Bueno, tener un vato de 3 chichan was en music escuela. Chichan de 3 años que acá en music. De 3 años. En vindage coloco boyot kuta. Beyo. Pas kin kuchik. Niat है no shame balin music. Pero खाते का सोना करने यहाँ के नेता का कुछ भी नहीं था सिक. Pero का कुछ क्यों या तले यहाँ के ने यो नहीं सिक किन था सिक. Pero Usting anime music sans sama bayo. Hat sans sama anime music sans sama anime music.
How many times had they shared a meal out here? What goes on with a son who has spent 23 of his 26 years alongside his father all day, every day?
Claro, yo 7 años ya andé, cambian en vida, yo te estoy de 10 y 3 años acá en Bisque. Beca sufrir tu beta. Te voy a tener mani en Castbal, pues, yo tendré que verla, tu patque. Caí la tengo que le va a tomar en patch. Es tu task. Ote. So clicar en la te veo.
But how did Raimundo feel about Audomaro and Romualdo? They weren't used to field work, didn't like it, and attended the village school, something Raimundo definitely encouraged.
La niña va a la escuela.
Va a la escuela, no te Romualdo todavía le lo macaco me dice que chen hachua bash en chambisic. So chano hochta, 12 años ya ande. Audomaro 15 años ya ande. Uchucalin bisictin bach. Pues no da 3 años ya ande acá en Bisco, pues bash México no bete chen ustinvich. Vela como nukta con hato ba. Pues ya más vetik. Hay quien lo hace. Le tenemos a timbisic veo. Len que son nukta chen shock. Ka ok Bisco tak ina yahyu ko. Mais do chichan de telikan le kan tak vela sukti yuhe bash yosukin.
Then one day, late in our stay in the village, Raimundo told us Audomaro and Romualdo would be going to Merida. They would live with relatives there and attend public school.
Besan chamba sama hasta bahoy. De shoga kya dikmar? Claro.
Difícil a conseguiste para cambiar?
No, trabajo.
¿Quién te? ¿Cuál es el nombre?
Sí.
Estoy preguntando de dónde va a sacar el dinero para darle la comida a sus hijos.
Sí, gente comiendo. Yo ya te le mía con este hijo. Este era bacano, bate. Y con un casto volante.
Raimundo's authority and the family's cohesiveness meant everyone would contribute to the venture. But I knew this kind of unity also signified great emotional dependence between the parents and children, and I had our translator ask about this. I felt that Raimundo was ambivalent and that separation would be hard on everyone. But in recent years, the Maya have become much more aware of the rest of Mexico. Maybe Raimundo felt he should prepare the boys for the future. Perhaps the family itself would be more secure if the boys were earning wages or at least literate. The boys' aunts, uncles, and cousins had left Yucatan several years previous and were clinging to existence on Merida's outskirts. They were especially glad to get some corn that tasted like home. I'd never before seen Raimundo idle.
¿Usted nunca tiene ganas de venir para vivir aquí?
No me gusta. Más me gustaría allí. Sí, hay suficiente lugar para vivir y todas las gallinas, cochinitos. Aquí no, ¿cómo va a tener cochinitos o gallinas? Aquí no hay dónde para pasar. Allí donde estamos hay solares grandes para pasar gallinas, cochinos, todas las cosas que necesitan, donde sí hay lugar para pasar. Pero aquí no hay 10 metros y 20 metros, ¿sí? ¿Dónde va a poner? No hay lugar. No hay lugar. Yo no pienso venir aquí a vivir.
Maybe this is what I'd come here to see, that moment when the lives of parents and children begin inexorably to move apart. Both boys had caked their faces with talcum powder, a normal practice for any important occasion. At the school gate, children who knew the ropes here told Raimundo to come inside. To not complicate matters, we withdrew.
Okay, let's just leave him here.
Raimundo and Agrafena felt they had to return to Chacon that same afternoon. But when they left, they took with them a family presence the boys had never been without. And within a few days, they left the school. The boys' return home seemed to mean more than the collapse of a family's venture into the modern world. It seemed to raise doubts about their entire way of life. Every Maya I'd ever met knew his life was a struggle, but a struggle that warranted pride and respect. Now Raimundo found himself using the proud and ancient task of opening a new field as punishment for a son. Automaro, instead of eagerly entering adulthood, was settling for what he felt was the least desirable option. Life was turned upside down. Those last days really brought things into focus for me. Just consider this. A family strong enough to manage life in one of the world's most difficult environments was shaken to its core simply by a move into an environment that required different adaptations. The family got itself right back on track, but the message was clear for me and for my work. You see, I'd begun 15 years ago trying to figure out my sense of loss at not being able to recreate the kind of family my grandparents had. I couldn't recreate anything. The system I was living in large part, would determine my family structure, and it did. It gave me a nuclear family, small enough and mobile enough to respond quickly to my environment, a complex, diverse economy. In the United States, we become individuals because we must. If we get a little lonely, if I sometimes yearn for the kind of closeness my grandparents had, all that does is remind me just how fast change has taken place in my society. The pace of change is a lot slower in Chicán. It remains a village of corn farmers, and now one of them is out tomorrow. But Romaldo went back to Mérida. He works in a small furniture factory, and he's putting himself through school, but he vows he'll never farm corn. We continue to work with him because I think there's so much to learn there. I want to interview Romaldo, and someday I want to interview his kids. Maybe I can do that when they come down to Chicán to celebrate a holiday with their grandparents.